for my grandfather's 80th birthday. I returned to City A with my daughter. In the mall, while I was in line buying blind boxes for my daughter, Liam's personal secretary recognized me. He asked excitedly if I had come to my senses and was back to marry Mr. Liam. Liam and I were betrothed since childhood sweethearts. But when I was 19, he fell in love with Harper, a poor student at school. Harper framed me. Without asking for any reason, he kicked me into the swimming pool at my birthday party. That very night, I boarded a plane and left for 5 years. Now, Liam's secretary looked at me with a face full of surprise. "Miss Melinda, Mr. Liam has been thinking about you all this time. Over the years, he has arranged for Miss Harper to stay in a villa on the outskirts of the city. She won't bother you anymore. From now on, you two will surely live in peace. As long as you admit your mistake, Liam is still willing to honor the marriage contract." I pointed to the cold-faced daughter beside me. This is my child, already in kindergarten. Later, the daughter won first place at the composition competition that Liam specially organized for Harper. With talent beyond her years and an ethereal style, she was adored and admired by countless people. Liam's eyes reddened. Liam's secretary glanced at my casually worn clothes and couldn't help but snort. "Miss Melinda, why bother? After leaving Mr. Liam, you've ended up in this sorry state. The proud Miss Jo now dresses worse than Miss Harper. This aura, TSK, there's simply no comparison. After you left, Liam, in a fit of anger, burned all the things you gave him, but afterward he regretted it. Our Mr. Liam is a man of deep feelings." I watched him babble on, once again marveling at how birds of feather flock together. Finally, he said, "Don't bother pretending to put up with me. In all of City A, who doesn't know you're crazy in love with Liam? And your daughter, who knows where she came from? Besides Liam, who else would you have a child with?" I shot him a cold glance, my voice dark. "Try barking at me one more time. See what happens." The secretary was startled. I didn't want to engage with him any longer, so I took my daughter's hand and turned to leave. Behind me, the secretary still shouted stubbornly, "Miss Melinda, go apologize now. You've been making a scene for 5 years. Do you really think Liam can wait for you another 5? People like you. Who else but him would put up with you? A person like me? What kind of person am I? I was engaged to Liam before I was even born." 2-year-old Liam pointed at his mother's belly and smiled, saying, "Inside here is my wife." The adults wore gentle, teasing smiles on their faces. From childhood to adulthood, my joys and sorrows have always involved him. The year he went to university, I was still in high school. When he left for school in City B, I held onto his arm at the airport, my eyes full of longing and reluctance. Liam sighed helplessly and patted my head. "I'll be back for winter break. I'll bring you gifts. How about 10? But when he returned, he only brought back one girl. The girl stood beside him, delicate and fragile, her eyes uneasy and constantly clasping her hands. A strange unease stirred in my heart, because the way Liam looked at her was different from how he looked at me. That winter break, Liam took Harper, and they almost toured the entire city of A. That winter break, I barely saw him. Liam could hold back, but I couldn't. When I showed up at his place, he was leaning his head against Harper's, whispering softly. The table was cluttered with colorful paper, and Harper was teaching Liam how to cut paper window decorations. He clumsily held the scissors, his expression focused. When he saw me come in, he only gave a casual greeting. Harper covered her mouth on the side and gently patted his shoulder. "You're too clumsy. You can't even learn this." I walked over to the piano, looked at Liam, and deliberately said loudly, "Liam, do you want to listen to the new piece I composed?" "Sure, let me see if you've improved." Only then did he shift his gaze to me. I took a deep breath and seriously played the new composition. When the piece ended, I held my slightly aching wrist and looked at Liam with full anticipation. But he didn't notice my gaze at all, still intently staring at the colored paper in Harper's hands. A surge of bitterness inexplicably welled up in my heart. I looked at them and spoke in a low voice. "Miss Harper, would you like to play a piece as well?" Harper looked up in surprise at my words, then lowered her head slightly, her whole demeanor tinged with melancholy. She spoke, her voice a little choked. I can't. Actually, I want to learn too, but learning piano costs a lot of money. Our family doesn't have the money. Liam suddenly turned to look at me, his eyes full of reproach and dissatisfaction. He pulled Harper up, pressing her shoulders as he sat her down in front of the piano. Liam reached out, wrapping his arms around her, whispering softly in her ear, "I'll teach you. It's not difficult." I stared at them, frozen in place. I held my phone and waited the entire night, tossing and turning as I checked the network over and over, finally letting out a helpless, self-mocking laugh. Early the next morning, Liam knocked on my door. As if nothing had happened, he smiled and handed me a gift box. "I promised to bring you a gift, so take a look and see if you like it," he said, reaching out to ruffle my hair. Although it wasn't the 10 gift he had promised, Liam hadn't gone back on his word. But when I saw the gift, the disappointment on my face was impossible to hide. An ordinary gold bracelet with a Rui pattern, something you could easily buy at any jewelry store on the street. The design even looked a bit old-fashioned and outdated. I stared blankly at the bracelet. Liam frowned, looking at me with some confusion. "What's wrong? You don't like it?" "Harper said this is the most suitable choice, both beautiful and retains its value. No need for complicated designs. That's just paying the jeweler for craftsmanship. Simple like this is best." I think she's right. When Harper heard you were going to spend $10,000 on a doll, she was so shocked she couldn't even close her mouth. I looked at his brows and eyes, his mouth opening and closing. The name he called out was gentle and pleasant, but it wasn't me. Suddenly, I looked up and interrupted him. "Liam, can you stop associating with Harper?" Liam narrowed his eyes, displeased. He spoke with some impatience. "Melinda, can you stop being so immature all the time? We're all grown up now. We should have our own lives. We can't be revolving around each other all day. Harper is my classmate, and also my friend. Our interactions are completely normal. You've been like this since we were kids. Whenever there's a girl around me, you have to pick on her. Your immaturity really wears me out." I looked up at him in surprise. My eyes stung with tears, but not want to cry in front of him. I turned away. Seeing this, Liam grew even more annoyed and grabbed my wrist tightly. I let out a soft gasp as a cold sweat broke out on my forehead. The injury on my wrist flared up again yesterday. But Liam didn't notice. He just kept blaming me relentlessly. "Melinda, I can tolerate your stubbornness, but don't push your luck. Harper is someone I specifically invited over. If you bully her, I will never let you off." My tears could no longer be held back. They surged forth as I slowly crouched down to the ground. Liam was momentarily stunned, then released his grip on my wrist, unconsciously softening his voice. "Melinda, not everyone in this world is born into wealth like you and me. Something you casually discard might be something others can never hope to attain in their lifetime. You need to learn to empathize and understand others. Don't cry anymore. I'll take you." He hadn't finished speaking when suddenly his phone rang. From the call, a woman's fragmented voice came through, tinged with a hint of anxiety. He responded softly a few times, then turned and left without hesitation. Before walking away, he glanced back at me once more. "Melinda, really think about what I said." I watched his retreating figure, my left hand instinctively clasping my right wrist. Why does it hurt so much? The doctor said the injury had become a hidden ailment, aching faintly whenever I'm tired or when it rains. Yesterday, I pushed myself hard and played an entire piece. At the time, it already felt a bit uncomfortable. I forgot I can no longer play the piano. When I was 14, I went to high school to pick up Liam and saw from afar a few thugs surrounding him. Ignoring the bodyguard's protests, I rushed forward without hesitation, raising my hand to block the stick swung at Liam. The iron rod, as thick as an arm, struck down, and in that instant, the pain made my vision go black. Now, he had forgotten everything. There were only a few days left of winter break, and I locked myself in my room, not wanting to see anyone. Mom knocked and came in, letting out a low sigh. "Melinda," Liam said he asked the school for a few days off. "He'll go back after your birthday party." I instinctively looked up, then lowered my head again. Just a few days ago, I was really hoping Liam would come to my birthday party. But now, suddenly, it all feels a bit meaningless. Mom said nothing, just gently patted my back. Before closing the door, she hesitated and said, "Melinda, in this world, disappointment is the norm." Don't be so stubborn. On the day of the birthday party, when Liam came in, Harper ran up to him and linked her arm with his. She wore an exquisite little dress, adorned with dazzling jewelry. Completely different from the first time I met her. She saw me staring at her and smiled a little embarrassedly. "I told you I wouldn't dress like this, but Liam insisted I wear it." She handed me the gift, and I casually passed it to the little assistant standing nearby. But Harper suddenly teared up and whispered, "Miss Melinda, don't you like the gift I gave you?" I was stunned, about to explain, when Liam suddenly frowned. "Melinda, you need to learn to respect others." Before he could say more, a few girlfriends surrounded us. One of them smiled and said, "Melinda, Noah is setting off fireworks by the pool. Let's go have some fun." She looked at Harper and smiled kindly. This young lady should come along, too. The brilliant fireworks by the pool momentarily soothed my restless mood. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed Liam walking over as well, standing beside Harper, whispering softly. Suddenly, Liam strode toward me and shouted, "Melinda, apologize to Harper right now." Everyone was startled. Liam continued, his voice sharp and cold. "If I had known you were this vicious, I never would have let Harper come with you. Look at what you've done to her." He spoke cautiously as he rolled up Harper's dress sleeve, revealing a clear burn mark, obviously fresh. I widened my eyes and retorted, "I didn't do this. Why on earth would I do something like that for no reason?" "For no reason?" Liam squinted and continued, "Haven't you always been like this? Whenever you dislike something, you target and persecute it. Melinda, I used to think you were just willful, but now it's clear you're despicable, vicious, and sinister." He looked at me with cold eyes. "Melinda, I'm giving you one last chance. Apologize to Harper immediately. Otherwise," he narrowed his eyes and went on, "our engagement is off. After all, the future missus who can't be someone like you." All the sound around seemed to vanish. I looked at him and blurted out, "A person like her isn't worth me making a move against." Harper's face flushed bright red at my words. She stood there, stunned by a mix of resentment and humiliation, allowing Liam to pull her into his arms without any reaction. Suddenly, Liam stepped forward, heading straight toward me. I looked at him in fear as he raised his leg and kicked me into the pool. I shivered miserably in the pool, staring at him, then suddenly burst out laughing. I said, "Liam, everything is just as you wished." The next day, I boarded a plane to City B. I took my daughter back to my mother's house, and after getting out of the car, I started organizing the blind boxes and toys my daughter had bought in the trunk. Suddenly, she tapped me and pointed toward the distance where laughter was coming from, saying, "Mom, why is that uncle squatting at Grandma's doorstep? He keeps staring at me and you. Does he not have money to eat? Should I give him some money?" I followed her finger and met Liam's gaze. My finger involuntarily paused. Seeing me look over, Liam slowly stood up. After 5 years, he looked just as I remembered. He hurriedly took 2 steps toward me and raised his hand. I suddenly dodged and instinctively pulled my daughter behind me, watching him warily. Liam paused and smiled bitterly. "I just wanted to pat your head, like we used when we were kids." I ignored him, stepped back 2 paces to go around him, and pulled my daughter forward. The footsteps behind grew more urgent, and he tried to grab my wrist again, but I was quick and slapped his hand away. My daughter frowned beside me, displeased. "Stay away from my mom. Dad said you can't grab Mom's wrist. It hurts her a lot." Liam looked at her in surprise. Then suddenly, as if he had realized something, he seemed dazed. He asked me urgently and with guilt, "Melinda, is your wrist still not healed?" Liam's face was full of guilt, almost overwhelming. I glanced at him, not wanting to say a word. Then he seemed to remember something else, abruptly turning his head toward my daughter, his voice trembling as he asked, "Melinda, is this your daughter? Are you married?" This time, I nodded seriously, answering decisively without the slightest hesitation. His face turned pale, and the hands at his sides unconsciously clenched and then relaxed. I sneered twice and warned him, "My parents might come out to pick me up soon. If you don't want an awkward encounter, you'd better leave now." Liam stared at me blankly for a moment, then suddenly raised his voice. "Melinda, how could you get married? How could you marry someone else besides me? Have you forgotten? Our engagement was made before you were even born." I covered my ears in annoyance and said impatiently, "Liam, you're the one who forgot. You yourself said our engagement was broken off at my 19th birthday party. Have you really forgotten?" Liam was stunned by my words. He started to argue. "Melinda, we were both at fault in that matter. I admit I shouldn't have impulsively pushed you into the pool, but you also—" "Shut up." I cut him off. "I'll say it one last time. We broke up a long time ago. Stop bothering me." Liam shook his head, stubbornly arguing. "Melinda, I was just angry at the time. I even came to your house looking for you, but your parents wouldn't even let me in. I've been searching for you for 5 years. I've turned all of City A upside down and still couldn't find you. I waited for you for 5 years. How can you be so heartless?" I hadn't wanted to get tangled up with him again, but when he dragged my parents into it, I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. "Liam, I never expected that after 5 years, you would still be so shameless. Why do my parents not want to see you? You kicked their daughter into the pool in front of everyone without asking why. What right do you have to think they wouldn't hate you? We don't go after you only because our families have been close for generations and out of respect for your parents. And now, you still have the nerve to ask?" Liam opened his mouth, struggling to speak. "I admit I was impulsive that day, but you were the one who burned Harper first. She's so pitiful, studying alone in a foreign place. She's not like you. Do you know how much she's been through?" I waved my hand, frowning. "What does her suffering have to do with me? Am I her parent? I don't want to mention her anymore." "Fine, we won't talk about her. But why did you leave City A without a word? Do you know how hard it was for me to find you?" For the first time, I realized how many issues Liam had, but after thinking it over, I still answered him. "Because City A is filled with memories of you and me, in every corner and crevice. So many that I can't avoid them even if I want to." Liam's eyes lit up at my words. I continued, "That's exactly why I want to leave, because what I saw made me feel sick." The smile on his lips froze instantly. "Melinda, let's just not bring up the past, okay?" He fell silent for a moment, then abruptly changed the subject. "I know you don't like Harper. I've arranged for her to stay at a villa on the outskirts of town. I promise, once we're married, she will never bother us. You can live in peace. If you don't want to see her, you never have to." I looked at him in disbelief and couldn't help but speak up. "Liam, are you not understanding human language right now? Can't you see I'm married? And how can you say something so shameless?" Liam seemed genuinely unable to comprehend. He stubbornly believed that as long as he kept me from seeing Harper, everything would be fine. He also stubbornly thought that if he apologized, I would definitely come back. "You can get a divorce. I won't despise you. Your child, I can treat her well too." Their daughter, upon hearing his words, suddenly straightened up, her face full of caution as she looked at him. "Melinda, in this world, no one will treat you better than I do. As long as you're willing to forgive me, I can have Harper apologize to you. Although I don't think it was her fault, in my heart, you have always been more important." My stomach began to churn uncontrollably. Suppressing the nausea, I spoke casually. "If you want me to forgive you, it's simple. Just make sure neither of you ever shows up in front of me again." Liam froze, stunned, standing rigidly in place. I didn't want to get entangled with him any longer, so I took my daughter's hand and moved forward. Just then, Dad happened to open the door. He saw Liam and gave him a cold, sweeping glance. Seeing this, Liam awkwardly avoided his gaze. I never expected to run into Harper at the music store. This time, my daughter and I returned to City not only to celebrate Grandpa's birthday, but also participate in City A's once every 5 years piano concerto competition. My daughter had her eye on a tuner, approached to ask the price, and decided to buy it, just as she was about to have it wrapped. Harper stepped in first and said, "I'll buy this tuner." She looked at me as if she had just noticed me, smiling as she greeted, "Long time no see, Miss Melinda." She held her chin high, her face adorned with delicate makeup, every gesture exuding confidence. No longer the awkward figure she was when I first met her. The clerk spoke awkwardly. "Miss, sorry, but there's only one tuner this model left. The little girl picked it first. You might want to look at others. We have models with more features in the store." But Harper seemed not to hear, staring coldly at her. "I only want this one." The clerk looked a bit troubled. "Miss, let me show you some others." Harper frowned. "I said I want this one. Can't you understand?" I looked at her in surprise. I hadn't expected that after all these years, Harper would become so assertive. Her daughter Aria tugged at the clerk's sleeve, stepped forward and spoke softly. "Annie, I saw this tuner first, so it should be sold to me." Then she turned to Harper and said, "You shouldn't cut in line. Mom said cutting in line is rude." Aria's words were fine, but Harper's expression changed. She suddenly looked at me and said in a deep voice, "Miss Melinda, is this how you educate your child? She's not a little girl anymore. Doesn't she understand the principle of courtesy?" I looked at her coldly, my voice calm. "What's wrong with what my daughter said? As for courtesy, you're an adult. Learn it first before criticizing a child. Besides, no matter how I raise her, it's no excuse for you to cut in line." Harper was left speechless by my words. She then turned to the clerk. "I want this one. I'll pay double the price." The clerk was extremely embarrassed. "Miss, this isn't about the money." I raised an eyebrow and gave the clerk a look. "In that case, go call your boss and ask how much it would cost to buy this store." Harper was momentarily stunned, then suddenly burst out laughing. "Miss Melinda, what's the point of pretending? Liam already told me that the man you're marrying isn't someone important. Otherwise, why wouldn't he attend your grandfather's birthday banquet? He must not be accepted by your family. Aren't you just adding to his burden by doing this?" Her tone was full of mockery. I ignored her. The manager arrived quickly, and I casually wrote down a number, asking him, "Is this price acceptable?" The manager's eyes lit up brightly, and he quickly led me to sit down nearby to discuss the follow-up matters. Harper's face was ashen. She took out her phone and whispered, "Liam, can you come help me acquire a music store?" I didn't hear what was said over there, but I only saw Harper's anxious expression. After a long while, she let out a deep sigh. Liam arrived quickly. By the time he got there, I had just finished confirming the contract with the manager. Harper walked up to him, trying to take his arm, but Liam instinctively pulled away. He looked at me, first stunned, then spoke with surprise. "Melinda, what are you doing here?" He wanted to say more, but Harper suddenly interrupted him, her voice choking up. She reverted to her usual fragile self and spoke softly. "Liam, I know you're busy. I shouldn't have called you here, but You told me before that with you around, I wouldn't have to suffer any more." Liam nodded, gently patting her shoulder, about to ask what had happened. Then he suddenly noticed the contract in my hand, frowned slightly, and turned to ask Harper, "The person you're talking about is Melinda?" Seeing his expression change, Harper hurried to explain, I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't have fought over it, but I just couldn't hold back." She lowered her head, and when she looked up again, tears had already filled her eyes. Liam's expression softened slightly, and Harper continued, I didn't expect to run into Miss Melinda. I know about what happened back then. Miss Melinda has always blamed me. I wanted to apologize to her. But the moment she saw me, she said I was just a plaything and called me a shameless gold digger. I just couldn't hold it in at that moment. Liam, I won't act like this anymore. Please don't be angry, okay? Liam looked up at me. I was too tired to explain, and just felt that both of them were truly annoying. The shop assistant cautiously raised a hand beside us. Miss Melinda never said anything like that. I was right there listening the whole time, and I can vouch for that. Harper shook her head sadly and spoke softly. She is your boss now, so of course you will side with her. From the very beginning, you have looked down on me." The manager couldn't stand any longer and blurted out, "Miss, we have surveillance cameras in the store." But Harper seemed not to hear, gently biting her lower lip. She knew very well there were cameras in the store, but she wasn't afraid because she firmly believed that no matter what, Liam would always believe her. Just like back then, no matter how much evidence there was, as long as she showed weakness, as long as she was the one crying, Liam would never listen to anyone else again. I sneered and curled my lip, about to leave, when I heard Liam's dark voice. "Harper, tell the truth. Is what they said true? I just want to hear it from you. This is your chance. I don't want to have to check the surveillance." Harper looked up in shock, mouth agape, staring at him in disbelief. After a long moment, Liam nodded, took a deep breath, and his cold gaze swept over Harper. "I understand." Liam stepped in front of me, his voice pleading and hopeful. "Melinda, I want to talk to you." I thought for a moment, then nodded. Liam looked at me, his eyes filled with a complicated emotion. He opened his mouth several times, then finally sighed and said, "Melinda, you're not doing well now, are you? You must have been so heartbroken back then that, just to spite me, you married some random man. A man without money or power like that. How could he possibly support you? You should know, besides me, there's no one in this world who treats you better. Divorce him. I really won't despise you." I was almost laughing in anger. "Liam, in all my life, the only time I was ever hit was when you kicked me into the pool. And now you're telling me you're the one who's treated me best." He was silent for a moment. What happened back then? I was just angry in the moment. "You're not." I looked into his eyes and said firmly, "You're just tired of me always following you around, tired of having only me as the woman in your life. If not Harper, there will be others. Those women who used to surround you and made me jealous. Were they really unrelated to you? You never kept a proper distance from them. Liam, in the end, you just changed your heart." His face flushed red and pale as he loudly refuted me. "No, that's not true. I love you. Come with me, Melinda. What use is your husband, that useless piece of trash?" "Who are you calling useless?" A cold voice came from behind. I turned around in surprise. Nathan saw me, his eyes curving into a smile. It was rare to see him dress so casually. He seemed to radiate the spirit of youth. Liam sneered, mocking. Sure enough, a useless freeloader. Nathan said nothing and walked straight up to him. Then, before anyone could react, he lifted his foot and kicked Liam hard. Liam fell to ground, clutching his stomach, unable to get up for a moment. Nathan's voice was cold and sharp. "This kick is for you." Liam's eyes blazed with fury as he shouted, "What kind of person are you? How dare you hit me? Do you know what the consequences of hitting me will be?" Nathan smiled, looking down at him from above, his voice casual. "What consequences could there be? The last person who said something like that in front of me, Nathan, has already gone bankrupt." The corner of my mouth twitched involuntarily. Liam was stunned, staring at Nathan for a long moment before exclaiming in shock, You're the head of the Goo Corporation? Nathan? You're Melinda's husband? How could this be?" Nathan reached out and pulled me into his arms, his voice gentle. "I should be thanking you. If you hadn't missed out on such a wonderful Melinda, we wouldn't have had the chance to be together." Liam looked at the two of us in disbelief, murmuring, "This can't be. How could Melinda possibly know him?" I glanced at him with annoyance and kindly explained, "The night you kicked me into the pool, I took a flight to City B. I originally wanted to see what kind of place it was that could make you change your heart so soon after going there. But I quickly realized it wasn't going to City B that changed you. It's that you're just a scoundrel by nature. You said you loved me and searched all over City A for me. But I was actually in City B where you went to school, just 2 streets away from your campus. Liam, I also want to thank you for leading me to Nathan. Don't come disturbing my life anymore. You really don't deserve it." Liam's face went pale, and he couldn't utter a single word. He stared at me in confusion and helplessness, his gaze fixed on the hands clasped between Nathan and me. I didn't want to get entangled with him any longer. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Harper walking out of the music store. I pulled Nathan and left. Behind us came Harper's shock scream. I tugged at Nathan, and he lowered his head. I whispered, "Try to read fewer of those domineering CEO quotes from now on." Nathan chuckled softly, his eyes full of affection. Half a month later, the piano concerto competition in City A proceeded as scheduled. Aria was participating in the composition category, which had no age limit. Backstage, as I was adjusting Aria's bow tie, I suddenly felt a sinister gaze on my back. I stood up, and Harper had already come to stand in front of me. Her expression was gloomy, her gaze heavy. "Miss Melinda, do you think you've won?" 5 years ago I took Liam away, and 5 years later I still can. Just wait and see. I gave her a wry smile and spoke slowly. "Well then, I wish you both a long and happy life together." Harper's face changed instantly at my words. "Are you mocking Liam for not marrying me?" I looked at her in surprise, never expecting her to jump to that conclusion. She thought for a moment, then restrained her expression, chuckling softly as she said, "Miss Melinda, you really don't understand men's hearts. Men, you see, all like women who show vulnerability. If you cry, they'll be heartbroken beyond measure. But alas, Miss Melinda, how could someone as high and mighty as you ever learn that? Look, at your birthday party 5 years ago, I burned myself. But as long as I cried, Liam believed me. Isn't that ridiculous?" She actually laughed as she spoke, louder and louder. Suddenly, a shadow dashed in from backstage, slapping Harper across the face, cutting off her wild laughter. Harper looked up in shock, her eyes full of confusion. "You wicked woman! How dare you frame Melinda? How dare you lie to me?" Liam shouted angrily, his face flushed bright red. Harper took a half step back, her voice trembling as she whispered, "Liam, what are you saying? I don't understand. Don't try to fool me again. I've already seen it." Nathan also walked in, pointing at the brooch pinned to my chest. This brooch was a new product developed by a tech company under the Goo Group, capable of live streaming in real time, easy to carry, and highly discreet. I wore it today with the intention of recording Aria's entire competition process. Nathan chuckled lightly. "I've started the live stream. Now, not only Liam knows, but everyone will find out that she once framed you." I shook my head. Such trivial matters I stopped caring a long time ago. Nathan's smile faded, his face turning extremely dark. He said, "But I care. I've said before, I won't let anyone who bullies you off easily." At that moment, a staff member walked in. Sensing the tense atmosphere, he cautiously spoke, "Everyone, it's time to get ready for the match." I heard Harper pleading, "Liam, please let me compete first, okay? You know how long I've worked for this. It really means a lot to me." I didn't catch what they said afterward, but Harper did manage to participate in the competition. After playing her piece, she opened up about her heart, sharing how she had struggled as an impoverished student, crawling forward all the way for her musical dream. When they announced Aria as a champion, the room fell silent for a moment before erupting into intense cheers. With talent beyond her years and an ethereal style, Aria earned everyone's recognition and respect. Amid the thunderous applause, Liam came up to me, his head bowed, eyes red-rimmed. "Melinda, I owe you an apology." He took a deep breath, his whole body trembling as if shaken to the core. Even the fingers he raised to wipe away tears quivered slightly. I pushed aside his hand, blocking my view, and said indifferently, "That stopped mattering to me a long time ago." Liam was momentarily stunned, overwhelmed with shame. His Adam's apple bobbed as he hesitated, then said, "But I still have to apologize to you. I was blinded by others, fooled by appearances. It was my wavering heart that let someone else take advantage." I frowned. "Don't shift the blame onto others. Every action and decision was made by you alone. It has nothing to do with anyone else." He opened his mouth. "But I truly love you. I know what it feels like to love someone. I can tell the difference. But I admit, I did have feelings for someone else. The Harper family is poor, unlike anyone else I've known. She did bring me a sense of novelty, but that was only temporary. He raised his hand and suddenly slapped himself hard. You're right, it's all my fault. I'm a complete scoundrel. I don't deserve you. Melinda, I lost you. I looked at him calmly and said, then from now on, can you stop disturbing my life? Consider it your compensation to me. He lowered his eyes, and after a long moment, he struggled to whisper, all right. Then he lifted his head again, his eyes fixed on Ari on the stage, softly muttering to himself, so, even her young daughter has far more talent than Harper? I was blind, lost a pearl, and picked up a worthless stone. Backstage, Harper's face was pale. Looking at me, she couldn't help but speak with a hint of self-mockery. Miss Melinda, you've won again. Seeing me like this must make you happy, right? I looked into her eyes. Once those eyes, though filled with calculation and scheming, were still alive. But now, Harper lowered her gaze, slumped in her chair, utterly lifeless. I still answered her. To me, you are a completely irrelevant person. There's no question of being happy or not. She tugged at the corner of her mouth, and I continued, Miss Harper, you want too much. If you want money, you shouldn't be so obsessed with how much genuine feeling Liam has for you. You want both his true heart and his wealth. But in the end, you'll end up with nothing, because Liam is not someone who stays loyal. She looked up at me in surprise, her eyes flashing with a complicated light. She seemed to be seriously considering my words. But I didn't expect that my well-intentioned remark would be misunderstood by Harper. After she broke up with Liam, she found a wealthy businessman and became his mistress. When the rich merchant's wife came knocking, she even had the audacity to retort, In a wealthy family, where is the true love? Madam, I advise you to turn a blind eye. But what she didn't expect was that the rich merchant had actually risen through his wife's family connections. Calling him a live-in son-in-law wouldn't be an exaggeration. The merchant's wife not only froze his assets, but also declared that Harper would pay the price. Later, after hiding here and there and seeking help in vain, it was said that she returned to her hometown. My parents said Liam now drinks heavily every day, causing trouble whenever he's drunk. He botched several major company affairs and has been suspended by the board. Yet he fled abroad, living recklessly and indulging himself everywhere. Rumor has it he even contracted a shameful disease. Right now, I'm 7 months pregnant, following Nathan back to City B. He holds my hand with one hand, Aria's with the other, and around his neck hangs some snacks he prepared for me. I smile and chat casually with Nathan, tilting my head just as my eyes meet someone's gaze. He stands at the airport corner, with sunken eyes, messy hair, his whole figure gaunt and skeletal. He looks at me greedily. When our eyes meet, he turns away in shock, and after a moment, his shoulders tremble slightly. Mom, what are you looking at? Can I chat with my little brother and sister now? I smiled and gently patted Aria's head. She leaned softly against my stomach, quietly whispering words I couldn't understand.